Unions join fast food workers to push for a hike in the minimum wage.
Chicago is one of dozens of cities holding protests today. WGN's Tanya Francisco is on the south side with more on our top story. Tanya?
Tina and Steve, it's raining now, but it managed to hold off long enough for this morning's protest, which featured a little theater, you may say, over the a couple of protests that I have covered in the past. This one featured a little bit of mixing it up in the way of civil disobedience. Fed up and frustrated, protesters took their sidewalk demonstration to the streets, literally shutting down 87th Street between Wabash and State to make a point. Sitting cross-legged in the street with their arms locked, they sang the popular protest and union song, "We Shall Not Be Moved." After 15 minutes, Chicago police moved in. And when the protesters didn't move out, police started making arrests.
We're fighting for our rights to make $15 an hour because we can't feed our families. We can't feed no one off $8.25 an hour.
Excuse us.
Yes, it is. It's worth it to get arrested.
We're fighting for what's right, and we're fighting for what we deserve.
But to go to jail for it?
Absolutely. Why not?
The fight to increase the minimum wage began almost 2 years ago. Fast food workers across the country banding together to try to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
We were struggling before the recession, we were struggling during the recession, and we find ourselves struggling after the recession. It's as if we were perpetually meant to stress, struggle, and strife all our lives, and we beg to differ with that.
And now other minimum wage earners like O.J. McGee, a single father and home care worker, are joining the fight.
Now, I'm also a CNA because I can't support myself with just one job.
And this morning, 2 Chicago aldermen joined the fight for 15.
I believe that it is unconscionable that someone has to work 40+ hours a week and still be considered living in poverty.
You've got these multi-million-dollar corporations that can afford to pay a better wage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stick together. Let's do everything possible. Let's take this fight to the streets.
Right.
Let's take this fight to the boardrooms.
Yeah.
Let's take this fight to the legislature and the city councils all over this country because we need to win the fight for 15.
Chicago police report that they arrested 19 of the protesters, but they only ticketed them and released them. Protesters have now moved on to West Suburban Cicero, where Representative Luis Gutierrez is expected to address the crowd. I'm live in the city's Chatham neighborhood. Tanya Francisco, WGN News.
Thanks, Tanya.